Good morning, folks, and welcome back to a very, very cold allotment. The inside of the polytunnel is absolutely dripping, and I'm pretty sure it was frozen last night. What time are we on now? It's coming up to 11 o'clock, so I'm very late this morning. Treated myself to a little lion, Saturday lion, and the ground is still frozen in patches. It is a proper cold one. All of the peppers looking okay. In fact, the auto vents are even starting to open on some of the greenhouses. See a little bit of the frozen ground down there, hopefully. And I had other plans today. I'm not really meant to be here, but it's just such a gorgeous day. And tomorrow it's raining, so I can do all the other jobs tomorrow. And I just feel like I am completely and utterly addicted to the allotment at the moment. I really do feel like that. If I'm not coming out here and enjoying myself, I just feel a bit lost. It really has just been the best week. This week off, I didn't, normally when I take a week off, I've got loads of other stuff to do at home. We're doing DIY projects, all that kind of thing, and this week, just had all the time in the world to come up to the allotment, and I've just loved every second. It's just been so good for me, and I kind of wish it was like this all the time, you know, but it's just not real life, unfortunately. You can see the peppers here. They're looking a little bit wilty, but that's to be expected. The important thing is, with a lot of plants, actually, they can deal with freezing air, but it's whether or not their roots freeze. As long as their roots are still above zero, they can hang on for a surprising amount of time. It's really starting to warm up in the tunnel now as well, which is, I think, partly due to the repairs, which have been fine. By the way, I have ordered a trail cam. So hopefully we can get that set up in the polytunnel and see if anything else is coming by or attacking it. But I figure, seeing as I've got the time and it's a gorgeous day, I might as well continue working on the new raised beds today. I think that'll be a good one to kind of get out of the way while I've got some time. It's one of those things that you think should be really easy. You've just got to cut a few things to size, put them in place, but it does take a bit longer. But then again, I'm not treating them or doing any of that funny business today. Have a look at these. They look gorgeous in the sun. These are some frosty boards, but I think getting these set out and cut to size is just going to be another joy. What a fantastic week. Have you noticed? I'm so sorry. Turns out that microphone I'm wearing on my on my bloody neck isn't actually plugged into the camera, is it? So you're going to have some voiceover, JB, today, because I know, I can see we're about to go to a shot where I'm far too far away from the camera. Let's go nice and warmed up already. It's 3 degrees in the car thermometer. Can you hear that tiny little whisper? Oh dear me. Right, so anyway, what I was saying here is that I've got a veg plotter out. It's really good because you can just whip it out on your phone. And oh, that sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? Not quite. Not what I meant. But it is really portable, so you can just double check your measurements and that kind of thing when you're out and about. Oh dear me, voiceover's off to a good start, JB. But yeah, so the bed's in front of me. I think I'm about to point at them. Am I? Maybe I'll edit. Oh, there he goes. Yeah, so those ones were going to be 1.3, and then the ones behind were going to be 1.2 meters. I think 1.3 is about as big as I would normally want to go, but when I set them out, actually, it was just too much wasted space. So I went up to 1.4, and it was fine. And yeah, these are the nail plates I'm going to use, and I was going to say in here, I wasn't sure if they were appropriate. They're only quite little, just little right-angled nail plates, and I'm going to use screws with them as well because they're nail plates, but screws work just as well. And I just hate anything being nailed ever. I never want to see another nail in my life. Screws are always easier. So that's what I've done, and then I think it's just time to get them cut, really. That's a big sigh. I was just complaining for a little while about how tired I was. This one, it really did take it out of me, and I checked my phone now. I'm like, how long was that? Because I think it's gone been about 3 or 4 hours, and I check it and it's like, oh, that was an hour and a half. It's actually really quick. I think I'm just feeling it after an entire week on the allotment. You know, I've been really quite physical, so I'm feeling a bit worn down. But it would have gone a lot quicker than an hour and a half for those 5 raised beds if I'd got it right first time. I did not get it right. And I was saying recently that when I did those scaffolding board beds, it was incredible that it all went right. And this one, I put the brackets on the outside, those tiny little brackets, and they just had next to no purchase. I did see that mistake quite early, and I had the words of a commenter, I think Phil it was, who said if they're too small, just put them on the inside, and that is exactly what I did. There, I'm wobbling the boards, saying how wobbly they are. They're like jelly, even with them on the inside. And just once again, if you've got a 3.6 meter length, it's gonna need some support. So I'll be giving these some support at some point, although they won't have as much pressure because they're not proper raised beds. They won't have the same amount of material and pressure building up as those scaffolding boards. But I'm about to say, one thing it really did highlight is just how higgledy-piggledy, lumpy-bumpy. Technical terms. Higgledy-piggledy, lumpy-bumpy my allotment is. I didn't really level this, you know, when I first dug it all over and it was all just brambles. It was really just a case of get it leveled and be amazed at how much we'd done, because getting it leveled, not getting it leveled, I mean getting it dug over, getting all those brambles dug out was the main mission. And then we were just amazed with the fact that we'd done that. Jess helped me out quite a lot on that initial allotment conversion. But as a result, everything is really quite lumpy bumpy, and maybe the camera is being quite forgiving. I don't know, normally it's quite difficult to see levels, but these ones where I've really started to build up the material as well, it's quite tricky because I don't want to dig the beds in, because you know, if they're kind of half buried in the ground, I think they'll last even less time. So I might do a little bit if there's any really high spots, but generally speaking, I don't think I'm going to be too concerned about the levels on this one, just where they're really, really off. Like that one at the far back end kicks up there like a criminal amount. But oh, I'm just so pleased again. I mean, we do have a bit of an issue in the fact that, you know, there's going to be a lot of crops at the moment that are in the middle of the path. We'll fix that with time, you know. That broccoli, I'm not pulling that broccoli out just so it's a bit neater now. I will kind of wood chip around it, fill up these paths. And one thing I am going to do is just treat the cut ends. So where I've done any cuts and that kind of thing, generally I've tried to sandwich them in the boards so they're not sucking up water. But sometimes, like these, I had to go a bit wider. So I didn't want to go even wider, so I've just put them in this configuration, because these are now 1.4. I planned out 1.3, but there was just a little bit more space. So I think 1.4 is probably about the maximum I can get away with, where I can still access the middle if I go on both sides. And I just kind of wanted to do that, because the idea of just having an even bigger path here, you know, an extra 20 centimeters if these were 1.3 both, it just feels like wasted space. And it is going to be interesting to see what happens with this composting area eventually, because now I've got that hot bin, and it's gonna, wow, the sun is blinding you a little there, isn't it? Because now I've got that hot bin, most of this cold composting, I think, is gonna become kind of redundant. This is, oh God, it looks such a mess, doesn't it? I know, please forgive me, I'm so sorry. But yeah, under there, that's kind of where the finished compost goes. So, I don't know, I think when the hot bin is going proper, it'll just be a case of emptying it and then chucking it straight on beds, I imagine. So this could well become a bed, and I bet it would be a really well performing bed because of all the composting that's happened there over the last 3 years. But oh, just look at it. It's gonna look so much neater and tidier when there's not like crops in the middle of the pathways, and all this is properly sorted. Oh, it's just gonna look brilliant, isn't it? The audio was so bad on this, I'm just doing it after the fact. But I'm saying how excited I am about being able to just tuck the netting on the inside of these beds now in the future, because you can't catch it with the strimmer or anything like that. So it's just going to make life that much easier, and not having weeds growing up through them. Oh, it's going to be a dream. And now I'm going to try and do this L bed, which goes a bit wrong, to be honest.
The main problem here, I'm not sure how this has happened because I was sure I bought enough wood and had extras, but I just ran out. And so here I'm kind of sizing everything up. There's a lot of standing around, did a lot of standing around with my hands on my hips looking at this. And then I had to get this old decking board. See that with the green paint? I'm chopping off the most rotten bits there and trying to make it usable, but it's pretty ugly. But I did then have a bit of a brainwave and think, oh, it's because I took some of the wood over to the strawberry bed. And then, look at this, lovely composition. I've got the golden sun streaming in. I was just saying that, oh, maybe there is some spares on this strawberry bed. So I'll quickly cut it to size, get it into shape, and see how it looks. But then, after I cut the two ends off, I realised there's basically no extras. There's no spares here. So, we're back to using the ugly decking, folks. Okay, folks, a bit of bodging later, and this one is done. It doesn't look too pretty at the moment, but I actually think it will look much better once this little high spot is taken out, and the high spot at the back is taken out. And what I've kind of done here is try to incorporate this structure into the bed. That's why it took me, you might have seen on the time lapse, I did a lot of scratching my head, standing around with my hands on my hips, thinking about the measurements, because I wanted to get the back of that netting actually within the bed itself, so that I can, just so that I know where to weed. I do like to use this for climbing things like peas and beans. So yeah, and then we've just got this little bit of extra space, which I do think is quite nice. And obviously when this is all staked and supported a little bit better, I think it will look a bit nicer. And obviously this will be a path, not a bamboo cane storage area. I tell you what, folks, it went pretty quick, but that has really taken it out of me. I don't know why. I think just a little bit more fiddly with these tiny little brackets, and even though I thought it was going to be much less work than getting the scaffolding boards done, which are much more substantial, much heavier, bigger brackets, all that sort of stuff, this was actually just a bit more, I think, just really leaning over, you know, my back is absolutely killing me. So I'm going to say thank you ever so much for watching. What I am going to do is go and rest up in the polytunnel and film my next episode, which is going to be a bit of a year recap, I think. So do make sure you've liked and subscribed and hit that bell if you want to see tomorrow's video as well, because you're more likely to get shown it by YouTube. Thank you ever so much for joining me. An extra special thank you to my Chili Pepper Tier patrons, Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Mel, Michael, Denise, Socks in the Garden, and Andrew. And thanks to all of the patrons who have enabled me to do this. Although this was just 60 quid, £60 for all this timber, plus delivery on top, but really, really good, I think. Hopefully I'll see you again next time. And really sorry about the audio.